But initially, I could see I liked how Moses was smart. He was clever. He didn't use his brute force as a big guy. He used brain. He boxed that southpaw style, jab to the head, jab to the body, fair the shots like he was on the punch bag. Kept his distance. Didn't get giddy and excited. And that kind of calm and patience for a man at 20 years old, going into his biggest test at this stage. It doesn't matter what age Dylan was at. It was a case of how he dealt with the pressure and how he dealt with the pace, how he dealt with the situation. Do you remember when Frank Bruno staggered Mike Tyson? And he, oh my God, you get excited and you get drunk on the success. None of that from Moses. Moses was cool. And so that probably would have happened at some point because he showed initially in that first minute.
Let me ask you this question. Who's ever done that to Dillian Whyte before? The answer's no one. Because 10 years ago, when Dillian Whyte had about 1,000 less miles on the clock, AJ had him in all kinds of trouble in the first round. But Dillian survived. He came through and he lasted until the 7th with Anthony Joshua. I think Tyson Fury took 6 to take out Dillian Whyte, and Povetkin did him in 5, but Dillian Whyte did avenge that loss. So it's fair to say that although we've seen Dillian Whyte beaten and knock spark out, this is the quickest we have ever seen it done. And that's why I don't want to take anything away from Moses Itauma and say, well, it was always going to happen. And yes, many pundits did predict this to happen. But I'm happy to sit here and personally say that I didn't think it was going to happen.
Moses Itauma is as good as we all think he is. He wins the fight, and he wins it in fashion.
Yeah, Moses Itauma, it's almost like they're picking opponents for him already. One of the opponents that has been at least earmarked for Moses this year maybe is Joseph Parker. Let's hear from Joseph Parker's manager and trainer, Andy Lee. This is what he had to say about a potential Joseph Parker versus Moses Itauma showdown.
For me, Moses is the future of the heavyweight division. For Moses, it's a risky fight. For Joe, it's a risky fight because there's no upside to beat Moses for Joe. There is. He's building his name. He's a significant heavyweight now, Moses, but he's an up and coming guy, and Joe's already at the top.
Moses Itauma versus Joseph Parker.
Of course, I think Joseph Parker is the interim champion. Moses is number 1. That title becomes vacant. That's how that fight happens.
Yeah.
That title, Alexander Usyk decides he doesn't want to go in against Joseph Parker because that's the next fight that's been ordered, mandated by the WBO. He relinquishes that title. Then it's a must-happen fight because it's a case of Moses Itauma getting the opportunity against Joseph Parker with the world title on the line. So you think that's enough temptation for me to go right now, because there's a lot of people talking about don't go too soon and all that, but when you get those sort of opportunities, maybe that is the right fight. I mean, I don't know where you're at on that, Simon, but I think...
Ready for a Joseph Parker? I mean, yeah, if he's number 1 in the division, the validity of that fight for both fighters sits up on the fact that if the belt's stripped away from Alexander Usyk, which we think it will because he'll vacate...
20 years old, first man to stop Jermaine Franklin, and he's got veteran analysts comparing him to prime Mike Tyson. Moses Itauma just shattered the heavyweight division, and nobody saw it coming.
I was fighting Zhang. Moses came out for a couple of weeks, and yeah, they had some great spars. They were tough spars, tough 4 rounds. They went to war basically for the 4 rounds. 4 rounds that Moses was in, it was like a war. And yeah, he's a good guy to be around as well. We enjoyed his company. It's justified to an extent because he's doing what he should be doing. He's knocking out all his opponents in a great style. And people like knockouts, so he won by knockout. It gets people's attention. I think, it's warranted, some of the hype. In this day and age, it's always too much. The criticism too much and the hype is too much on either end of the spectrum. But he's still young and still developing, still has things to learn and improve.
Here's what has everyone terrified. Adam Smith watched this kid demolish Franklin and admitted the finish was devastating. Not just impressive, devastating. That's a word you don't hear ringside unless something special just happened.
We mentioned a few names. Obviously, we've got like Justice Hooney, Dempsey McKean, Simon Keane, Tom Schwartz. But I feel like it's going to be nice to get a British fight under my belt. So I feel like I'm Obviously, I'm looking for the winner out of Solomon Dakers and David Adley, Fraser Clark. Johnny Fisher did really impress me the weekend. I did not think that he was going to do that against
Alan
Babbage. And I feel like now he's someone to be taken serious. I don't think he's just like a ticket seller for Eddie Hearn. I actually do believe that he's a man to be taken serious.
But here's where it gets wild. Carl Froch and Johnny Nelson, two guys who have seen everything in boxing, are saying this kid fights like a young Tyson. When legends start dropping that comparison, you better pay attention.
Davis had this to say about AJ possibly taking on Moses Itauma. And he had to say this. He said, I don't think Joshua gets beyond 3 rounds with this kid. Damn. Let me counterpunch. Gareth Davis, he's never been a fan of AJ because he was a fanboy of Tyson. So you know you can't have it both ways. You can't be a fanboy of Tyson and then a fan of AJ. That just won't happen. So I expect him to say that. I expect him to say something like that. But is it true? If AJ decided to fight Moses Itauma, AJ, I think, knows Moses because remember, they were in the same camp for a while. They sparred together. They shared time together. Moses never fought Dillian White or never sparred Dillian White. He sparred everybody else. Joshua, Fury, Parker. He sparred a lot of people. Akoli, you know, the list goes on. But I'll say this. I think AJ fighting Moses Itauma, I don't know what would be in it for what Moses versus what would be.
And get this, while most 20-year-olds would crumble under that pressure, Moses walked in there with the composure of a 10-year veteran. That's not normal. That's scary.
Against what we would class as a commercial name, there was a lot of pressure on him last week. I think when me and Simon sat down last week on Simon's Talk Boxing show, I think we were all on the same page that we thought Itauma would come through and that he would win the fight. It was whether he would do it quick or whether he would do it late. And you know, when you have a fight week like that, lots of the eyes of the world are on you. As a 20-year-old man, we need to keep reminding everybody just how old this young fella is. I thought he dealt with it absolutely fantastically. All week, the interviews that I watched, he looked like he would bang on. He speaks with, he's such a stoic guy, the way that he speaks with such calm and reassuredness. And then to get in there on a Saturday evening and do what he did in the manner that he did it.
You're with Adam and that, Simon. He ticked every single box.
Well, I think Adam's assessment was absolutely right about the nature of the event. A headlining event where all the focus is on him, all the pressure, to some extent, despite his protestations during interviews during the course of the week that he didn't feel under pressure. There was always this indication that there was pressure because he goes into a fight, people expect him to knock people out. People are comparing him to a young Mike Tyson. You know, at this stage in his life, Mike Tyson had 28 fights before he fought Trevor Berbick to win a world title. This kid's had 12. The flip side of the argument is that Dillian White was, unfortunately for us, was precisely what we had forecasted, which was a lamb to the slaughter in terms of a seemingly disenfranchised fighter that wasn't mentally in the right place, it seems, at any point during the course of the last week. I think that was amplified on Saturday night, watching him walk into the ring. I know that we do have a tendency to analyse ring walks more than we once used to.
The Dillian White knockout changed everything. Analysts are calling it huge because White wasn't some washed-up fighter. He was a proven, dangerous contender, and Moses erased him in 1 round.
The thing is if you haven't sparred him or whatever else, you get a first-hand experience. Like, oh wow, this isn't a normal 16-year-old, 20-year-old, whatever else. It's a real fighter.
Listen to this part. Derek Chisora said the matchmaking was unfair because White wasn't ready for someone that dangerous. When Chisora thinks you're too risky for seasoned contenders, that tells you everything. Now Joseph Parker's own trainer is calling Moses the future of boxing, and he wants Parker to fight him. Think about that. A former world champion's team is actively seeking out a 20-year-old prospect. Here's what nobody's talking about. Moses went 24-0 as an amateur with 11 knockouts. Gold medals at every level. This isn't some raw prospect learning on the job. This is a fully developed killer. But wait, it gets better. Andy Lee revealed Moses was going to war with Joseph Parker in sparring, not just holding his own, pushing a former world champion to the limit at 20 years old. Moses isn't hiding from tough fights either. He's actively hunting down dangerous British heavyweights like Solomon Dakers. Most prospects avoid risk. This kid is chasing it. And here's the kicker. Gareth Davies thinks Moses could beat Anthony Joshua right now, not in 5 years. Today, a respected analyst believes a 20-year-old could defeat a former unified champion. Simon Jordan and Adam Catterall are blown away by his ring IQ. They're saying he fights like a veteran, but has the physical gifts of someone just entering their prime. That combination is terrifying for everyone else. Lawrence Ockley summed it up perfectly after watching the White knockout. He's not a normal 20-year-old. When a multi-division champion says you're operating on a different level, the entire division should be worried. Oh, here's the reality. Moses Itauma isn't just another prospect climbing the rankings. He's a 20-year-old nightmare with veteran skills, Tyson-like power, and the hunger to fight anyone. The heavyweight division better get ready because this kid is coming for everyone. What do you think? Is Moses already the most dangerous young heavyweight in the world? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button if this breakdown opened your eyes, and subscribe because this kid's reign of terror is just getting started.